Hi, folks. Welcome to the 48th presentation hosted by AlmonTravel, CARP, and Tonight Anderson Vacations, held every Tuesday at 6:30 Atlantic Time. As in the past, this presentation is being recorded and will be on the CARP Travel website shortly after. A little bit about AlmonTravel. We've been in business for 18 and a half years. We have a couple of specific and particular specialties. They are river cruises. We've done 10 itineraries around the world, including 3 in Asia, Vietnam, 2 itineraries, the Mekong with Cambodia, the temples of Angkor Wat, as well as the Red River in the north. We've done cruise tour on the Yangtze in China, the Nile in Egypt, as well as the Rhine and the Danube, the Rhone in southern France, the Po River in Italy, and Portugal's Douro River in Europe, the Mississippi on an old-fashioned paddle wheeler in the United States. Another specialty is destination weddings. We've done 130 destination weddings from across Canada down in the Caribbean area. And where that translates into this demographic is anybody that's planning an anniversary or a retirement or a special occasion. Certainly, we have lots of experience in putting groups together and can help you with that. Our experience with destination weddings also has brought us to the Caribbean area. And whenever we go down to those areas, we always make it a point to visit 3 or 4 different resorts on every trip, doing formal inspections. And that's for destination weddings. But of course, we also keep our eye tuned to appropriateness for adult only and family vacations as well. We also do extended family Florida trips. We focus on theme park vacations like Universal Studios, Disney, SeaWorld, and Busch Gardens, and have been to all of those several times. Massive parks, folks. You want to have a travel agent helping you organize that. Ocean cruises, the most popular itineraries. We've done Hawaii. We've done the Mediterranean. We've done the three Caribbean itineraries, South, West, and East Caribbean. We've cruised around the UK. We have also sailed from New Zealand to Australia. And we've also done what's on most people's bucket list, an Alaska cruise. Coach tours, from local tours like a tour of Newfoundland and Labrador to coach tours around the world. We have relationships with a variety of touring companies to find the best option for you. Travel conditions. Lately, we have been on a break for 3 weeks now with Christmas. Omicron has taken over the world at this point. One of the good things, at least, and Darcie and I were talking about this before the show started, the results or symptoms are not as serious, at least to vaccinated people, causing fewer hospitalizations to date and much fewer intensive care patients. In fact, testing individuals has been restricted to obvious cases, and that's a long way from when anyone with symptoms could or should get a test. Are we heading towards COVID being recognized as similar to what we would call normal flu pre-COVID? It seems like it. And if no new variant comes along, I guess that's going to be the key. But if so, look out, world, as so many are ravenously waiting to get the heck out of here. One very good sign that travel is starting to return to normal is the fact that more and more travel insurance companies are offering during trip COVID insurance. You can't cancel due to COVID, but if you are doubly vaccinated and contract the disease and need to quarantine at destination, many of your costs to do so will be covered. My connection with CARP began quite a while ago, maybe 7 years ago, with Bill Van Gorder, who is the COO and Chief Policy Officer for CARP National, as well as the founding chair for CARP Nova Scotia, in addition to being the senior spokesperson for CARP in the Maritimes. Bill and I grew to know each other when I worked on a charitable organization that he and another gentleman developed called the 100 Men Who Give a Damn. And in a period of about 3.5 years, we raised $400,000, every cent of which went to the charitable organizations. There was no overhead. So as part of the board meetings, as I was on the board, I got to know Bill quite well. He used my services to book a scenic river cruise in Europe and also a Rocky Mountaineer and cross Canada via rail trip. So as a result of the service that he received for those, he asked us if we would be the official travel agency for CARP Nova Scotia. And of course, I said yes. I'd like to introduce you now to Darcie Guarderas, Director of Business Development for Anderson Vacations, who will be telling us about this Canadian-based company, who will be talking from experience about the Yukon and Alaska, and who will also delve a bit into down under destinations like the Cook Islands and New Zealand. I've taken in several webinars that Darcie has hosted, and she brings a fresh sense of humor as well as a lot of knowledge to share with us. I would also like to thank Jacinta Ruland, who is capably working in the background. Darcie, please take over.
Thank you so much, Danny, and thank you to all of you who've joined us today. I'm excited to be here because if I get to talk about travel, then I'm happy. I love to travel, like I'm sure most of you do as well. And one of the special things is that I love to travel in my own backyard. And I've been so blessed and so fortunate that all throughout the pandemic, I've been just kind of getting in those windows when they've allowed us to travel and continue to explore for the last 2.5 years whenever possible. So I'm going to quickly just jump to the next slide. Give me just one moment here, and we'll get started. Thank you to Danny for putting on this presentation and being aware of the fact that now is the time for people to not only start thinking about traveling within Canada in our own backyard, but also internationally, because as Danny mentioned, people are just chomping at the bit to start to travel. And it's not too early to start considering making your reservations for even 2023. If we're looking at Australia and New Zealand and those destinations down under, they are going to sell out very, very quickly. I really want to reiterate the fact that it is incredibly important to work with a dedicated travel professional such as Danny and his team, because the world is ever changing, and there's nothing worse than being stuck in a destination or, you know, having any kind of issue and not having a professional to reach out to. I know from past experiences I had as a travel agent in my previous life that, you know, I lived through 9/11 and I had people stranded all over the world. And I know that COVID now has probably been one of the most difficult things these incredible agents have been through, but they are there for their guests. And they're there to protect you and make sure that everything goes without a hook. So it's great that you are here today to support Danny, and I'm thrilled to be here as well. As mentioned, my name is Darcie Guarderas. I'm the Director of Business Development for Anderson Vacations, this amazing Canadian company that's based out of Calgary, Alberta. So when you shop with Danny, you are shopping local when he books through Anderson Vacations. And I believe that there's never been a more important time than right now to support local. We know this in our own communities, and we know this across Canada, that we want to support our local businesses because, I mean, it's never, ever been a situation like this where they need our support the way they do. Now, our company specializes in Canada, a little bit of the US, that's the Pacific Northwest, Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific Islands. We like to say that we are destination experts creating authentic and inspiring experiences. Now, you might look at those destinations and think, that's kind of odd. Why would they offer Canada, the US, and then the South Pacific? Well, the previous owners of Anderson Vacations, one was a Canadian and one was a Kiwi from New Zealand. So because they were in different locations, they fell in love, got married. It was a perfect balance because they're also opposite seasons. So when we're really busy selling Canada and Alaska, that's the down under down season. So it's quiet, and then vice versa. So it's a really great balance for our organization. We're super excited and proud to say we've been in business over 28 years. And so we are very focused on these destinations, and we do them better than anyone else. And I like to brag about that because I really, truly believe that. Our specialties are escorted small group tours. So you can see that small group is capitalized. That's really important because there's lots of tour companies out there that do escorted tours, but not so many that do small group tours. When you have a small group tour, you know it's more intimate. You can get into smaller boutique hotels rather than the larger cookie cutter hotels. And we go to unique destinations that not everyone can get to. So that's kind of cool. We also offer independent travel packages. So if you're not one to want to travel in a group, we have this option for you as well. We do custom groups. So if you belong to an organization and a group of you want to travel together, you would reach out to Danny and he would work with us to put together a custom specialized tour just for your group. And then of course, rail journeys in Canada and Alaska. And touch on that in a minute because I am a rail journey junkie, I like to say. And then we also offer customized self-drive packages. During the pandemic, people were a little bit hesitant to travel with other people. So customized self-drive itineraries, meaning a rental car, hotels, everything put together in a package, was the most popular way for people to travel during the pandemic. And still really is at this point. Everything Canada, that's what we do. We do all kinds of things in all of these destinations across Canada. So we pretty much have you covered if you're looking to go anywhere in Canada. And I know Alaska belongs to the United States, but because of where it's located, we pretend that Alaska belongs to us, even though we know it doesn't. So let's talk a bit about fully independent travel. This is for those of you who say, I don't want to be on a coach. That's not for me. I like to do things on my own. So again, this could be your self-drive vacations. Just to give you an example, if you flew into Victoria, Danny would have it arranged for you that when you arrived in Victoria, BC, there'd be a car rental waiting for you. Your accommodation would be taken care of all across Vancouver Island, where I just happen to be right now. That's where I live. And then all the attractions along the way. So it would be all spelled out for you exactly where you're going. So you'd be fully independent and completely customizable. So if Danny said to you, hey, I'm going to put you on a whale watching tour in Victoria, and you said, no, you know what? I've done a whale watching tour in Halifax. I'd rather not. Then we can look for other options, maybe a ghost story walking tour, or high tea at Bushwick Gardens. There's so many wonderful things to do on the island. And the accommodation ranges from budget to moderate, even to superior. So we work with some of the Fairmont properties and so on. So it's great if you want to do this. It's better for you to reach out to your travel consultant, because putting these packages together is a better value than you booking each piece individually, because there's savings included in these packages that are exclusive through the travel agency. When I talk about all these different products in Canada, the rail journeys, the self-drives, remote lodges going up to like northern BC, fishing lodges in Saskatchewan, and of course, Churchill adventures. I'm so blessed to have been in this industry for over 32 years and had the great fortune to have visited Churchill on many occasions. And when you look at this photograph on the right-hand side, that can be exactly how it is. I have so many spectacular memories, and I'm heading up there again in February, which I'm just going to write that down because I need to book my airline tickets for that. What a wonderful, wonderful experience. I've got a little video to share with you on Rocky Mountaineer. It's less than a minute long, but Rocky Mountaineer is one of our rail experiences in Canada. And after you watch the video, I will show you a little bit more information about it. Zoom is not the best for videos, so the quality may not be perfect. But like I said, it's only 1 minute, so I'll play this for you. Let me make sure my volume's up. Here we go.
You can't experience the Canadian Rockies through a screen. You have to be here with us. There's only one way to travel through this natural wonder and get a glimpse of amazing. And that's with a glass of wine in one hand and a camera in the other, aboard Rocky Mountaineer. Canada's Rocky Mountains await. Call your travel agent or Rocky Mountaineer for special offers now.
Okay, so hopefully that video came through clear. I actually just had the pleasure of being on Rocky Mountaineer just this past July. That was my third time taking Rocky Mountaineer. This time I went from Banff to Vancouver. And what's really special about the experience is that you do not sleep on the train. It's all daylight hours travel. So you get these incredible, majestic views, absolutely breathtaking. And like the gentleman in the video said, you have a glass of wine in one hand and a camera in the other. In many cases throughout the years, if you've traveled through the Rockies, there's usually one person in the family driving. And usually that was my dad. And I always say to my dad, or he always says to me, I never really truly got to see the Rockies because I was always the one at the wheel. So wouldn't it be a great experience for the two of you to travel together? Or even if you're traveling on your own, solo travel on Rocky Mountaineer is fabulous. It's a social experience and very COVID safe. Of course, they have all the protocols, but you still have the ability to meet other people. It is a luxurious train with incredible food, and Anderson Vacations through Danny, offers tailored packages pre and post journey. What I mean by that is we'll do a package before your trip. So if you're in Banff and you want to stay a couple nights, we'll arrange for you to do some activities in Banff, maybe go up to the hot springs, do a little tour, that kind of thing with your accommodation. Or if you end up in Vancouver and you want to spend a couple of nights in Vancouver exploring such an amazing city with so much to see and do and so many fabulous restaurants, we can do that for you as well. Now, Via Rail is another wonderful experience in Canada, and lots of people don't think about Via Rail. I love it. It is like stepping back in time. I love when they say it brings romance back to travel, because it really does. I do Via Rail about once a year just because I love it so much, because you get to sleep on the train. Now, the first night you shake back and forth and you're just not sure if you're going to get any sleep. By the second night, you're completely used to the experience, and it lulls you to sleep, and you meet people from all over the world, and there's all kinds of classes of service. So you can be in a regular seat, a cabin for one, or even up into the premier classes, which are like being on a little cruise ship. They have chefs on board. The food is incredible, just like Rocky Mountaineer, but an entirely different experience. I wouldn't say luxury, but I would say magical and romantic. Now, this is where it really gets interesting with Anderson Vacations, because we offer these small group tours. And as I mentioned before, there's two kinds. There's our classic tours and our tours of distinction. Now, our classic tours are our top selling tours. Everyone loves them, and anyone can go on these tours and enjoy them and really feel that they're getting the best value for the dollar they spent. Small group, excuse me, means a maximum of 24 people on the coach. So if it's a large coach that normally would seat 48 and there's only 24, you can only imagine how much extra space you have on the coach. All of the must-see attractions are included, and I'll point that out to you momentarily why that's important. The accommodation is 3 to 4 star. It is clean, comfortable, and well located. Not luxury 5-star accommodation, but we rarely get a complaint about the accommodation that we're offering. And then we also offer deluxe coach transportation, so you know you're in good hands with a very safe driver in a larger coach. And our tour leaders are the best, most experienced in the entire industry. Are our tours the cheapest tours out there? Absolutely not. Do you want to go on the cheapest tour? I would say absolutely not. You want to go on the tour that is the best value for your dollar spent. Now, to give you an example of one of our classic tours, this is one of our very popular tours called the Alaska and Yukon Explorer. Now, you can see here on the left-hand side the highlights that are included in this tour. There are other tours out there with other companies that they sell tours by saying, we give you lots of choice. And by saying they give you lots of choice, what they're saying is we're going to charge you very little upfront, and then when you get to your destination, where nothing is included, we're going to nickel and dime you and charge you for every single thing. And that can be stressful for people. Is it not better for everything to be included? You know what you're getting. It's a little bit more money, but in the long run works out to be about the same value. Well, I wouldn't say value, same cost, but so much more value included, being that it's a small group tour. I like to say we were doing small group tours long before it was cool, because it seemed like when COVID came out, everyone kind of had to pivot a little bit. But see all those attractions? Some of them are really, really unique. Some of them are the standard attractions that everybody needs to see, and we insist on. But we've got a few extra, really special itineraries in there. So included in this, 11 nights of accommodation, again, 3.5 to 4 star, the professional tour leader, the transportation, the airport transfers when you arrive, and 21 meals in 12 days. So that's a big inclusion in this particular itinerary. Now, I'm a huge fan of Alaska and Yukon, and I've been to the Yukon, I believe, 7 times. I'm leaving on Sunday to go again. And both Yukon and Alaska have so much to offer when it comes to outdoor activities, wide open spaces, absolutely perfect, especially with COVID, for people who are looking to just get out there and explore. Another great tour that we offer is the Best of the Canadian Rockies. Now, most people think, okay, I'm just going to drive through the Rockies myself, but you're going to be running into problems for this year and probably next year with availability. Because of COVID, people were not traveling, and now they are traveling. Even domestically, local Canadians are traveling, and the hotels are getting booked solid. So, as I mentioned before, why not do a tour like this one where no one has to drive? We do have space available. We've blocked all the hotel space, so we've got great hotels. And in this one, we even include a helicopter tour over the Rocky Mountains. Some really special inclusions, all included in this tour. This is by far our best-selling tour, called the Maritime Mosaic in Newfoundland. Guests come off this tour and rave and rave and rave about it. It can be broken into two components. Maritime Mosaic is 13 days, and then Newfoundland is 7. But if you're going all the way there, it's really popular to combine it into a 19-night, 20-day package. In fact, our September departure is actually already sold out, and our August departure is very limited in space. So this tour is selling very well because of all of the inclusions. I just came back in August from traveling around this area myself during the pandemic. I was in the final 2 provinces. I've now been to every province and territory in Canada. And my last one was Prince Edward Island. So I was very lucky. I've seen every single one of these highlights on here, and they were all wonderful. And they're must-sees, which are, of course, included. Now, for those of you who are looking for something a little bit more unique, a little bit more adventurous, and this doesn't mean you have to be, an athlete or anything like that, but you have to have an adventurous spirit. So these tours are kind of off the beaten path, sort of unique itineraries that we try and focus on boutique or unique hotels. The maximum on these tours is only 18 guests. So remember on Classic, it was 24. Only 18 guests. Now I'm saying maximum. You could end up with only 12 on these because it depends on how well they sell. Everything is focused on local dining, local experiences, and very authentic. And many of these tours have no single supplement or just a little surcharge. We do not want to take advantage of our single travelers. We love our single travelers. So if you're traveling on your own, this is a great option for you. Once again, the most experienced and well-traveled tour industry leaders anywhere in Canada. The wow factor really is only from Anderson Vacations. If you can see that igloo right there on the screen, I actually slept in an igloo just like that in Inuvik. A lot of our northern product in Canada belongs to our tours of distinction. Really unique. Now, I'm not saying you have to sleep in an igloo. I did, and it was like a life-changing experience for me, but we have some wonderful hotels as well that you have to choose from. One of the great tours with the Tours of Distinction label is Haida Gwaii and Prince Rupert. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard of Haida Gwaii, but for those of you who have not, it used to be called the Queen Charlotte Islands. And a few years ago, pre-COVID, the royal family came over and they were in Victoria, and then they went up to Haida Gwaii. Now, this is truly focused on Indigenous experiences. You've got grizzly bear viewing, you've got all kinds of local Indigenous experiences, even a feast, a Haida feast in a local Indigenous woman's home, which we get rave reviews of every year. Pre-COVID, this tour is sold out every single time. During COVID, they did shut down the community, rightfully so, because it is a very small, vulnerable community, and they wanted to keep all of their elders safe. So this is very, very popular, a really great value for everything included. And really, if you want to get out in the wide open spaces and touch base with nature, you can't do any better than the Haida Gwaii and Prince Rupert tour. Inuit Lands and the Road to the Arctic. I think this is our most unique tour. It starts in Whitehorse and it goes all the way up to Dawson City, which is one of my very, very favorite places in Canada. Again, like stepping back in time with the gold rush history. I could spend days and days talking about the gold rush history and the stories that come out of Dawson City and all over the Yukon. And it even goes up to Tuktoyaktuk, which I've fortunately been on this exact itinerary before. So you get to drive on the iconic Dempster Highway, and you get to go right up to the Arctic Ocean. And because there's a June 15th departure and a September departure, you can even dip your toes in the Arctic Ocean. We love to say that Anderson Vacations goes coast to coast to coast, because there are 3 coasts in Canada, and Tuktoyaktuk is right up there on the 3rd coast. This tour itself will actually visit a traditional Inuit whaling camp and see so much more. In the June departure, it is the departure with the midnight sun, so it stays daylight all the time. An amazing, amazing experience. Again, you can see 19 meals included in a 9-day tour. One of the most popular things in Canada right now that people are looking for is viewing the Aurora Borealis. And did you know that Yellowknife is the best place in the entire world? Most people think it's Iceland or Norway or Finland. That is not the case. We have right here in Canada the best place in the world to view the Aurora Borealis. Now, currently, Northwest Territories is not open, but any moment as things start to get better, as Danny mentioned, they will be opening up the Northwest Territories, and then we will have this tour running again. So we did not have January, February. We are hopeful for March for this departure. If not this year, we absolutely will have at least 4 departures for next year. What's great about this tour is it's got a lot of inclusions, like the city tour of Yellowknife, and then a dog sledding excursion. Now, if you feel like you don't have great mobility or you're a little bit nervous, don't worry. You don't have to do any work when you're doing a dog sledding excursion. You just have to be able to sit and to decompress and disconnect and enjoy nature behind these magnificent animals who love to pull these sleds more than anything in the world. It does include 3 nights of Aurora Borealis viewing, where you're taken out to a platform where it's warm and you can go in and out, and they'll teach you how to use your camera. In most cases, they'll even have camera stands there, a tripod for you to use. There's a fishing demonstration, guided snowmobiling, and again, we're not talking about whipping a million miles an hour down the road. It's very safe, very peaceful. And it even includes your winter clothing rental. So you don't have to worry about packing anything when you go up here. This comes back every time as one of the top selling tours, and guests absolutely love it. So this is the year right now, while we're going through all of this, to really consider exploring your own backyard. I can tell you recently, when I was in the Yukon in August, I met a group. They were from Vancouver. There was about 15 people traveling together, and they were staying at the same resort that I was staying at. And they were talking about their next trip, which was supposed to be international to Iceland. But after doing this trip to the Yukon, they changed their mind, and they've decided that as a group for the next year to 2 years, they will be exploring our own backyard. So that is a consideration for you as well before this all goes away. So give me one quick second. I'm going to take a quick sip of my tea. I can feel a tickle coming on. Excuse me. Now we're going to touch base a little bit on our down under product, our Australia and New Zealand, which is a little bit of the South Pacific Islands as well. We offer escorted tours and independent packages. I'm going to take one more sip of tea. Excuse me. Okay, let's see how this goes. Just as I mentioned earlier in Canada that we have fully independent travel, we have exactly the same in Australia and New Zealand. So if you're not interested in going on a coach tour with other people, or you're a bit nervous about that, we do offer fully customizable packages to almost anywhere in the South Pacific, meaning Australia, New Zealand, and all of the South Pacific Islands. Budget, moderate, superior categories of accommodation, whatever you're looking for, but these packages will have, we can do the airfare, the accommodation, and the attractions all in one lovely package, which makes it easier for you and also guarantees you the best possible price and value. Another great thing to do, if you're brave enough to drive on the left-hand side of the road, and many people are, is to do a self-drive or a camper van. There are some spectacular campgrounds all over Australia and New Zealand, and Danny has access through Anderson Vacations to book camper vans and self-drives, which are fully equipped. One of our touring partners in the South Pacific is Grand Pacific Tours. Excuse me. Grand Pacific Tours is exclusive to Anderson Vacations, and they have a tour for every single budget, but they have some really special tours. We focus on them because they offer many, many small group tours. I'm so sorry that I've got this tickle in my throat. Okay. They also offer packages for solo travelers, so they're a great value for those of you who are traveling alone as well. Excuse me. One of the things that they offer that's really unique is something called their Ultimate Small Coach Touring. We like to say business class on wheels, 20 leather seats. And you can see that the aisle there, I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but it's a little bit, actually quite a bit wider than a normal coach. The accommodation is definitely a luxury style, so 4.5 to 5 star. And the seating is 2 passengers. So you've got, sorry, that says 2 passengers, 20 passengers on, but when you're traveling with someone else, you're actually sitting across the aisle from one another. So you can still speak to each other, but you have your own space with an armrest, a place to put your drink, and also a place to plug in your phone. There are ports at your seat as well. This is a great example of the New Zealand tour that we have through GPT. A 19-day, and as you can see, it covers all of New Zealand, both the North and the South Island. A really great value because all of these things are included with the tour. Oh my goodness. So you can see, again, just similar to an Anderson Vacations tour with all of these inclusions, so you don't have to make any decisions when you're there locally, but they also offer you free time as well. Another amazing partner that we have down under. Now, I should mention GPT, exclusive to Anderson Vacations. They only do New Zealand, and you can only get it through Anderson Vacations and through Danny. AAT Kings is another partner that we have that offers Australia and New Zealand. So we've got luxury inclusive tours, we've got handpicked hotels, and a great company that we work with. I've actually traveled with them and they are fabulous. They also have a type of tour that we tend to lean towards because they are small group tours that is in line with what Anderson Vacations offers to our clients. We want our guests to have the absolute best possible experience, and we know that small group touring is the way to go. These, again, do visit off the beaten path places, destinations, and they're fully immersive experiences. So you can have a local Indigenous experience in Australia and New Zealand as well, really focused on local experiences. Now, quickly, let me just see what we are for timing. We're doing well for timing. The South Pacific Islands, I'm going to touch a little bit on this because my passion not only lies in Canada, because I love it with all my heart, but the South Pacific, for some people, they think it's something that's a little bit out of their reach, but it doesn't have to be. There are so many options in the South Pacific Islands. It's a perfect getaway for whether it be weddings, renewal of vows, anniversaries, or just celebrating your love and getting away together, after COVID is over. We do have some of the South Pacific Islands open already. Australia and New Zealand, of course, are not, but Tahiti is. They do change the rules frequently, but as we move out of COVID, it won't be long before we'll be able to travel into Tahiti and the other South Pacific Islands. Now, I've been very blessed to have visited all of these islands except for Samoa. And to talk a little bit about the Cook Islands. Many people have not even heard about this destination, and it is in my top 3 destinations in the world, and I've traveled extensively. And the reason the Cook Islands is one of my favorites is because I believe that it is absolutely the best value in the entire South Pacific. Now, the main island is called Raratonga, and you can fly from Los Angeles nonstop with Air New Zealand to Raratonga. What I love about it is you leave in the evening out of Los Angeles. When you arrive about 8 hours later, it's morning when you get there. So if you're able to sleep on the airplane, it's just perfect. Now, this is a perfect stopover location for anyone considering going to New Zealand. There is so much to see in New Zealand that it's a very busy holiday in most cases. A lot of times people will add on some time at the beach, but generally you're going around, you're seeing all the wonderful attractions, natural and otherwise, in New Zealand and in Australia. And then I like to recommend that on the way back or on the way there, whichever works better for you, you have a stopover. And many airlines offer a free stopover, no extra charge, to add that stop in the Cook Islands and spend anywhere from 6 to as much time as you want. But the nonstop flights leave every 6 days. So you can do this nonstop flight. Now, the Cook Islands has this incredible vibe to it. It comes to life. As you can see, this beautiful woman with the flowers in her hair, that's the feeling, the smile, the warmth of the people of the Cook Islands is like nowhere else in the world. When I say best value, they do not have any all-inclusives in the Cook Islands. You would stay in either a hotel or a little bure on the beach, many of which have little kitchenettes, and they are incredibly well priced. You can rent a moped, or there's a bus that goes around the island. It's only 22 kilometers around. It's a great place for a long stay to really kick back and enjoy. Now, outside of Raratonga, there's a reef around the entire island, so it's quite safe. You can snorkel right off the beach if you don't like going into the deep waters. You can explore the island, beautiful markets, black pearls, and again, wonderful, wonderful people. So if you're looking for something that's a good value and a great place to stop over on your journey to either New Zealand or Australia, that is the one. Fiji is another wonderful stopover. It's not as reasonably priced, I would say, as the Cook Islands, but really unique in itself. It has many tiny little islands, and each island in some cases will have its own resort on the island. So for example, something like Castaway Island has its own resort that takes over the entire island. So you kind of feel like you're just secluded on your own in this beautiful paradise with gorgeous white sands, lovely people, and wonderful, wonderful seafood. Anywhere in the South Pacific is a great place for seafood. And if you're like me, I love that more than anything. Wonderful for honeymooners and so on as well, and very, very popular. But of course, the gem of the South Pacific would be Tahiti. And whenever we talk about Tahiti in the past, there always seems to be a preconceived notion that Tahiti is out of reach or it's just too expensive. If you want to go, stay in the spectacular top of the line resorts, absolutely, you are more than welcome to do that, to stay in an overwater bungalow. Tahiti happens to be the home of the overwater bungalows. But what I suggest to guests is to spread your time out amongst the islands, whether it be Papeete, the main island that you fly into, spending 1 or 2 nights there, heading over to Moorea, where you can do a quad tour, beautiful beaches, meeting the local people, doing, an art tour, a food tour, that kind of thing. And when you're in Moorea, perhaps you might consider staying in a lush, garden bungalow. So it's not oceanfront, but to stay in this rich tropical destination for a few days, and then head over to Bora Bora, which again is the cherry on top. Everyone's heard of Bora Bora, and perhaps stay in an overwater bungalow just for a couple of nights while you're there. If you can afford to stay in an overwater bungalow for 10 nights, great. All the power to you. You should definitely do that. But you don't necessarily have to miss out on that. You can stay for a couple of nights, perhaps in a guest house or a pension that can be booked through Danny as well. And then for the last couple of nights, stay in one of these overwater bungalows. You can, in Tahiti, you can swim with the reef sharks. You don't have to be scared. I've done it several times. With the sea turtles, you can do some of the best snorkeling anywhere in the world. The most gentle, calm, sweet people you'll ever meet, and fabulous opportunities to be on the water. A lot of the opportunities for travel attractions and excursions are on the water. So you're on a boat, you can go to these private islands and have a picnic and really enjoy. So there's lots and lots of options for you as stopovers or as your journey. I love to go to the Cook Islands for my entire journey, but it's also great as a stopover. I can remember in the past sending people to the Cook Islands as a stopover and then coming back to me a year later and saying, we want to go back to the Cook Islands for 3 weeks. And prior to speaking to me, they'd never even heard of it. So hopefully I've whet your appetite for not only traveling in your own backyard, but also considering now thinking about next year and the following year, where you want to go internationally, perhaps in the South Pacific, whether it be Australia, New Zealand, or one of those fabulous islands that we talked about. The world is your oyster. So if there's any questions at all, I think Danny's going to come back on. And I just wanted to say thank you for your time today. I will stick around for questions and answers. And I think Danny will join us right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Darcie. That was fabulous. You know, one of the things that struck me about your presentation was that even if it's in our backyard specifically, as in starting a trip across Canada or the trip through the Maritimes and Atlantic Canada, is that your focus seems to be on culture, the culture of the area. And that is, you know, I think that's what true travelers are looking for. Yes, you can go down south and you can stay 7 nights in a Caribbean resort and drink yourself sick, or, well, drink yourself happy maybe. But, you know, if you're not experiencing the culture of the area, then I think you're missing out so much on you know, what's being offered. So certainly, you know, you've given us a really good look at that. I want to just make a couple of comments on things. The idea of small groups, the focus on small groups. I've been on bus tours, 40 plus people, 44 and more. It's I won't say it's hard to take, but certainly it would be much nicer to be on a you know, with a smaller group. And certainly getting off and doing the individual excursions, having a small group would make that much easier too. So many more benefits over large groups. Independent travel package, benefit in price, but also both you have both a tour travel agent and a tour operator looking after you. I've had people who have, you know, contact me about trying to set up trips for them around Nova Scotia and Cape Breton. As part of Nova Scotia, and for me to try to book all those individual places and rent a car for them, it's just not as convenient as certainly doing this. You know, so definitely worth you know, considering that for independent travel. Rocky Mountaineer, we've experienced that ourselves, and if I have to let you in on a secret, we did that as a prelude to an Alaska cruise, which is often on people's bucket lists. And I have to say that the time we spent on the Rocky Mountaineer was superior to our Alaska cruise. We enjoyed that so much. You know, and the idea of going through the Rockies with a glass of wine in one hand and a camera in the other certainly is very appealing. When I did it as a travel agent, then of course I was taking as many pictures as I could for you know, clients and to be able to show them what we experienced. But to take it as a traveler and just enjoy your experience would be just absolutely wonderful. Classic tours versus tours of distinction, that I wasn't aware of that. I mean, that was just absolutely amazing what you let us in on as far as the tours of distinction. 18 people and possibly less. We have a walking group, a Nordic pole enthusiast group that would probably be very interested in some of the destinations that you offer there. Inuit lands and road to Arctic, as I mentioned before, real cultural tours. I've never even thought about traveling up north myself personally. It's you know, you mentioned about the people that did take the Yukon tour and were planning to go to Iceland, and when they were up in Yukon, they decided, wow, we want to come back here for the next couple of times. You know, if we have not learned about it through, you know, a presentation like you're putting on, for example, or actually doing it ourselves, or perhaps listening to a friend who has gone there, you know, a lot of times these things just don't arouse any interest in us. So that's one of the wonderful things of these, you know, that I'm trying to accomplish with these presentations is offer viewers an opportunity to learn a little bit about something that maybe they never even considered before. So I've been to Iceland. Day was about 4.5 hours long, and yes, we did see the Northern Lights, but it didn't last as long as I had hoped it would. So on the one particular evening that we did observe it, so it sounds like being up north in Canada and the United States is the place to go if you want to experience that. Explore our own backyard. I mean, one of the things as a travel agent, you know, I'm asked by clients, well, okay, if I decide to book a trip down south, for example, what do I need to know? And you know, one of the most important things, of course, is how do I get back into my own country? You know, there are concerns and I guess I would say barriers, but there are things that we have to do in order to be accepted back in your own country. They're not going to accept you right now if you have COVID. You're going to have to isolate in destination. So the idea of traveling within our own country, you know, that takes that fear and concern right away. So it's sort of a wonderful opportunity too. New Zealand, we have, as I mentioned, you know, we did a cruise from Auckland, New Zealand to Sydney. I got a chance to experience a little bit of New Zealand. One of the things that stood out for me was a Kiwi Farm. I don't know if you've experienced that or not, but the way that the plants hang down from supports and you walk underneath them, you know, it's entirely covered, and you just pick the kiwi plants from them. So that was really quite neat. So, but you know, when you go to the other side of the world, like that from the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, and it's, you know, 5 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours for us to fly from the East Coast to the West Coast, and then another whatever length of time it is to get over. You know, I've been to China once and Vietnam 3 times, so I know about the flying time. It's roughly 20 to 24 hours. So anybody who is planning a trip on that part of the world really has to dedicate several weeks to it because it is a long flight. That 19-day tour that you illustrated there, both North and South New Zealand, looks absolutely fabulous. Looks like it's covering everything. Mm-hmm. And the South Pacific Islands always has been a dream. Again, you know, the problem from the East Coast, a long way to go. So you really have to build up a trip, and the idea of stopping in the Cook Islands, you know, for several days, I guess it would be 6 days you were saying, and enjoying that as a real break for that long flight from the East Coast sounds wonderful. And I've taken courses on, you know, the Cook Islands and Tahiti, Moorea, and so on and so forth. It's always been a dream. And the over the water bungalows, which was always exclusive to, I believe it was Tahiti, which are now being emulated in some of the Caribbean countries down there. So anyway, it was just a fabulous introduction to things that I was not very familiar with, and I thank you, very, very appreciative of that.
It's my pleasure. And if there's, I don't see any questions in the question and answer or the chat, but if anyone has questions, you know, please feel free to reach out to Danny, and Danny can reach out to me anytime. I would be more than happy. And pardon me for the tickle I got there, of course, at the wrong time, wrong place, wrong time. But yeah, I really appreciate the chance to share with you some of the places that I truly love. And I can't reiterate enough how important it is to support local and work with Danny for your travel arrangements, because it sounds like you are in great hands.
Well, thank you very much, Darcie. And, you know, I like also the notion of working with a Canadian company, and you just have such a, you know, you don't do the whole world, but within those special areas, you have put together some really unique packages. So it really, I'm really looking forward to working with you folks and putting some groups together. Now, I do have to talk for a moment about our presentation that's going to be happening next week. On January the 18th at 6:30 p.m. We have Croisy Europe, who will be co-hosting the presentation. I knew Croisy as a river cruise line who catered to the French market, but in the past 5 years, they've opened up to the North American market as well. They offer river cruises in many popular and some exclusive destinations but also offer barge cruises and ocean cruises as well, and have some very exotic routes to explore. So again, Darcie, thank you very, very much for your presentation on Anderson Vacations. Really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. And if you ever want to do another one, Danny, and talk about Northern Canada, I am absolutely a Northern Canada junkie. And like I said, I'm off to the Yukon again next week, but I've been up to Nunavut and up to the Northwest Territories as well, and Churchill several times. So if people have questions about that, there's so many great opportunities to explore.
Just names to me, in a sense, other than what you've illustrated here, but you've made me enthusiastic about that. So thank you again, Darcie.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.